I'm Sleeping Giant. My video today is going to be about Charlottesville, Trump's reaction to Charlottesville, and the media's reaction to Trump's reaction of Charlottesville. So first I would like to start off by saying how freaking proud I am of Donald Trump. Donald Trump refused to back down. He went up to that podium and he condemned violent leftist anti-fascists. He was in his element. I love the...
Wait a minute, I'm not finished. I'm not finished, fake news.
It was classic Trump. It was amazing, and I'm just so proud of him right now. One of my biggest gripes right now about the left and the mainstream media is their use of the death of Heather Heyer as kind of like a shield to deflect any righteous, warranted criticism of the violent, leftist, anti-fascist counter-protesters who absolutely contributed to the atmosphere of violence that led to her death. Am I blaming anyone aside from that asshole in the car for taking her life? No. He was a lone actor, and what he did was indefensible, period. But did both sides have a role in, like I said, contributing to that atmosphere of violence? Yes, they did. And Trump is absolutely right to condemn that. And that is what he did. And the left, they can't stand it. Right now, they're foaming at the mouths, and they're like rabid dogs. And Stephen Colbert is talking about Trump not being president by Friday. I mean, what a freaking idiot. They just cannot handle criticism. They've had Barack Obama for the past 8 years, and they're just not used to being called out by the president. I'm also seeing people use the death of the 2 state troopers in the helicopter as a way to attack Trump and his supporters and the protesters, saying that there's blood on our hands, which is ridiculous because they died in an accident. It's like if I were to call 911 because somebody's having a heart attack, and on the way here the ambulance gets into an accident, it's like blaming me for calling 911. What happened to them is a tragedy. It was an accident. There was no foul play involved. Stop blaming the protesters.
Stop it.
And another thing, when Trump said that there were some good people in the group of protesters, what he was saying was that not everybody there showed up as a Nazi. Some people really were there to protest the removal of the Robert E. Lee statue. But the left can't seem to wrap their minds around that concept, even though they'll be the first to shout about not everybody involved with the counter-protests were violent. They can understand it then. And here's the thing, you can condemn the anti-fascists and the leftists and also condemn the Nazis. It's not a zero-sum game. You can criticize both sides. But as soon as you try to criticize the Antifa people, left screams,
did they kill anybody? Did Antifa kill anybody?
No, but you don't have to kill somebody. Somebody doesn't have to die in order for you to condemn violence. Alright, the first tweet comes from Mike F. at GUP Diver. And Mike said, every place Antifa has shown up, there has been violence, property damage, and liberals defending their actions. And this isn't just in Charlottesville. This has been going on for months and months and months. Do you remember when Antifa showed up at UC Berkeley? Students at Berkeley invited Milo to speak. They weren't there to protest. They weren't there to pick a fight. They just wanted to hear somebody speak. Antifa shows up, causes $100,000 in property damage, bloodies people up, starts fights, all because they cannot stand hearing opposition. In fact, Antifa has one of the most ironic names ever. It stands for anti-fascist, right? But one of the tenets of fascism is using violence and intimidation to silence opposition. And that's exactly what they do. They would rather subvert our laws, our law enforcement, take that law into their own hands. And if they deem somebody unworthy of their First Amendment rights, they will use and love to use violence to remove them, to shut them up, to silence them. If that's not fascist behavior, what is? Alright, the next tweet is from Colin Rugg, at Colin Rugg with 2 G's. Colin says, Antifa and Nazis, different people, same motives. Sad thing is that the right condemns Nazis, but the left won't condemn Antifa. Just like when Antifa showed up at a Trump rally, waited for Trump supporters to come out of the rally and pounced on them. Attacked them, bloodied people up, they were throwing Molotov cocktails, they were beating people with sticks. Again, these people weren't there to start a fight, they were just leaving a Trump rally. That's how violent and dangerous these people are. And the left was mum. You get a single guy at a Trump rally, like push a black guy, and it's plastered all over the media. Every mainstream media source is condemning Trump and his supporters when that happens. But you get a group, a concentrated group of Antifa people that bloody up Trump supporters just by leaving a rally. You can hear crickets chirping. They don't care. And the reason they don't care, the reason they don't report it, the reason they don't condemn it, is because secretly they're rooting them on. They may act like they hate violence, but it's only when it's directed at them. They love it when Trump supporters are beaten, when they see us get punched in the face. They love that shit. And by their refusal to condemn that violence, they lose any moral high ground that they thought they had. And I don't know if you guys saw this in the news because it's barely anywhere, of course, but this guy named Sam Warmer was attacked by 5 masked Antifa members that were waiting for him to get home. What did Sam do wrong? Sam knew one of the Nazi protesters that was doxxed in the media. He condemned white supremacy. He condemned Nazis very clearly and very strongly. But because he disagreed with taking the man's job and lifestyle away and disagreed with doxing the protesters, even though he condemned Nazism and violence, that made him fair game to Antifa thugs who cut him with box cutters. Look at this. It's nowhere to be found in the media. Now, granted, he didn't call the cops to make a report because apparently he's on probation. But can you imagine if it were 5 Nazis that gathered outside of a black man's house and attacked him with box cutters? It would be plastered on the front page of every mainstream media source, and you know it. It just once again shows how disgustingly hypocritical the left is. It's just getting to a point now where it's comical. Look, you don't have to agree with somebody's views and their politics and their ideology to support their right to protest and support their rights and access to the First Amendment just like everybody else. Another thing that I'm hearing, and it's complete garbage and it's just untrue, is so many leftists are regurgitating this notion that hate speech is not protected as free speech. And that's just wrong. Like, you're stupid if you think that. You don't know anything about the law. The Supreme Court has been very clear on that. Just because you find certain speech disagreeable and even hateful, which again, that's subjective, doesn't mean that it's not protected. It is. You're stupid. It's actually the speech that is the most offensive, the most egregious, that needs the most protection. I don't think that's very difficult to understand. Alright guys, I think I've ranted enough. I really appreciate you watching. You know the drill. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to support me. Give me a thumbs down and piss in my comment section if you don't like me. But, you know, thanks for the view, brah. Until next time, keep chugging along on that Trump train. Choo-choo, motherfucker.